Most men are convinced that attracting a high quality woman requires either the body of a professional athlete or the wealth of a billionaire. But there's a truth that rarely gets said out loud in today's world. As men get older, they develop a kind of quiet magnetism that isn't obvious on the surface, yet women feel it deeply. It's not about status symbols or flashy lifestyles. It's about something far more subtle and powerful, the psychological foundation of attraction. In this, I'm going to break down the traits women are naturally drawn to in older men, but almost never openly admit. And if you stay with me until the end, you'll understand the one factor that changes everything. When you truly see it, you'll stop viewing age as a limitation and start seeing it as one of your strongest advantages. The first thing women are drawn to is what you could call emotional grounding.
It's the absence of unnecessary drama. In a time where relationships are often unstable and communication is inconsistent, younger men tend to carry a kind of internal turbulence. They're still figuring themselves out, reacting impulsively, and often looking for reassurance. An older man, on the other hand, brings a sense of steadiness. Over time, he becomes someone who doesn't get easily shaken. Women, both consciously and subconsciously, look for a sense of security, not just physically, but emotionally. They appreciate a man who doesn't overreact to small conflicts, who doesn't rely on manipulation or games, because he already values himself. This emotional control creates a calming presence. When everything around her feels overwhelming, your composure becomes a place of peace. What some might call boring is actually rare, and in a world full of noise, that kind of stability becomes incredibly attractive. The second thing women are drawn to is a quiet kind of decisiveness, the ability to move without constantly seeking approval. It's something they feel strongly, even if they don't always say it out loud. There's a clear difference between being respectful and constantly asking for permission. Many younger men fall into the habit of over-accommodating, thinking it makes them more likable. They'll ask endless questions about where to go or what to do, believing it shows care. But often, it just shifts the responsibility of decision-making onto her. A more experienced man understands the value of time and direction. He doesn't hesitate or overthink every move. He takes initiative and creates a plan with certainty. It's not about control, it's about clarity. That kind of presence feels grounded, and it naturally creates a sense of ease for her. When a man confidently leads without being forceful, it changes the entire dynamic. He might simply say that everything is already arranged and she just needs to show up. It's subtle but powerful. Even if she never openly admits it, there's something deeply appealing about a man who knows what he's doing and doesn't second guess himself. It allows her to step out of constant decision making and settle into a more relaxed state. Your experience becomes visible in how you carry yourself, not in what you say. The signs of age aren't a disadvantage, they're a signal. They reflect lived experience, lessons learned, and a level of certainty that can't be faked. And that quiet authority, more than anything else, creates a pull that's hard to ignore. The final piece is the one that changes everything. The real master key, selective attention. This is the part women feel deeply but rarely put into words. At its core, it comes down to this. You are not dependent on her. That doesn't mean you don't appreciate her or enjoy her presence. It means your life already has direction, purpose, and meaning that exists with or without her validation. Younger men often approach women from a place of trying to impress, leaning in too much, seeking approval in subtle ways. But a more seasoned man doesn't operate like that. He stays centered. He watches, he listens, and he doesn't rush to prove anything. There's a quiet confidence in knowing your worth. That energy alone shifts the dynamic completely and sets you apart without you having to say a word. Women are highly perceptive when it comes to emotional signals. They can sense when a man's happiness isn't tied to their reaction or approval. That kind of independence creates a natural intrigue. It introduces a sense of mystery and challenge that pulls her in. Instead of you trying to win her over, she begins to wonder how she fits into your world. It flips the entire dynamic. You're no longer chasing or convincing. You've created a life that feels complete, and she's drawn to be a part of it. It's like building something so fulfilling and grounded that it naturally attracts the right people. You don't run after attention. You become someone worth giving attention to. That shift alone changes everything about how attraction works in your favor. What makes this dynamic even more interesting is that attraction here isn't loud or obvious. It doesn't rely on constant validation, attention, or performance. It's built on presence. When a man becomes comfortable with himself, he naturally stops over-explaining, overreacting, and over-chasing. That shift alone changes how he is perceived. Women begin to feel that they are dealing with someone who is grounded, not someone trying to win approval. This creates a different kind of tension, one that is calm but powerful. It's not about impressing her with words. It's about how you carry silence, how you respond under pressure, and how consistent your energy remains over time. Another layer to this is emotional discipline. A mature man doesn't let temporary emotions dictate permanent behavior. He understands timing, restraint, and when to speak versus when to stay quiet. This doesn't mean being cold or distant. It means being intentional. Younger men often confuse intensity with connection, reacting quickly, expressing everything at once, and sometimes overwhelming the situation. But real attraction grows in space, in patience, and in emotional control. When you don't rush to fill every silence or fix every moment, you create room for curiosity and deeper connection to develop naturally. There's also the element of standards. A man who has lived and learned usually stops accepting anything just for the sake of having someone. He becomes selective, not out of arrogance, but out of self-respect. This is where most people get it wrong. They think being available all the time makes them more desirable, when in reality, it often lowers perceived value. When you choose carefully, when your attention isn't easily given, it signals that your time and energy have weight. Women can feel this difference immediately. It shifts the interaction from you trying to be chosen to you, deciding what actually deserves your presence. At the same time, this doesn't work if it's just an act. You can't fake detachment or confidence for long. It has to come from genuinely building a life that feels meaningful to you. Whether that's your work, your mission, your personal growth, or your values, something has to anchor you beyond relationships. When your identity isn't tied to external validation, your behavior naturally changes. You don't panic over small shifts in attention. You don't overanalyze every message or interaction. You stay steady, and that steadiness becomes something rare. What really separates this kind of man is how he handles both interest and rejection. If a woman shows interest, he doesn't lose control or become overly invested too quickly. If she pulls away, he doesn't chase or try to force things. He simply adjusts and continues moving forward. That level of emotional independence is incredibly attractive because it shows strength without aggression. It shows confidence without needing to announce it. And over time, this creates a reputation, not just with one woman, but with everyone you interact with. In the end, the deeper truth is that attraction at this level is less about doing more and more, about removing what weakens your presence. It's about cutting out neediness, overthinking, and inconsistency. When those things disappear, what's left is clarity, calmness, and quiet authority. And that combination doesn't compete with youth, it operates on an entirely different level.
If you've been thinking that your prime is already behind you, it's time to question that belief. The world might glorify youth on the surface, but real attraction often leans toward depth, stability, and understanding. What you've gained through experience isn't something to hide, it's something to stand on. Instead of trying to match younger men in areas where they naturally dominate, focus on refining what truly sets you apart. Strengthen your mindset, make clear decisions, and become someone who brings calm into chaos. The right woman isn't searching for someone who is still figuring himself out. She's drawn to a man who already knows who he is. If this perspective resonated with you, subscribe to Feminine Insight and become part of a space where growth is driven by clarity, not ego.